Starwhite is more than 40 years old, and while most of her systems have been upgraded or replaced, she still requires maintenance. Some maintenance items require immediate attention. Others can, and often are, put off to be gotten to at a later date. I spent a couple of hours over the past weekend addressing 3 things that I've been putting off for quite some time. Starwhite's starboard aft hawspipe has started leaking. This is the only hawspipe on the boat that I had not gotten around to rebedding. It was a low priority because when it did leak, it simply dripped into the bilge. Now, there's our leak. No doubt about that. Nothing but some dried out bedding that obviously was not sealing. So this is the last one on the boat or the only one on the boat I hadn't addressed. The last one to be addressed. There we go. That's what I'm looking to say. So this is what the hawspipe looks like when I first remove it. And as you can see, there's just a very small layer of caulk sealing the 2 halves together. So we'll clean these faces up, put the hose in, and reassemble everything. I produced a video a couple years ago that details the correct installation of these hawspipes, so I won't spend a lot of time today going into details. Please watch video number 16 if you want to see and hear more detailed instructions. Okay, I think that looks pretty darn good. Get down with a little acetone to clean a nice little bit of dust off. And we'll be good. As you can see here, these 2 halves of these hawspipes do not mate together well. This is fairly normal to have them not mesh up perfectly. The proper way to handle this is when they're installed into the bulwark, inside of the bulwark you have a piece of rubber hose. The hawspipe is fit into the rubber hose, and then the other piece goes into it. The inner piece of hose needs to get set in first, and then once it's in place, we pull the pipe itself into the hose, like so. There, that's all installed. Prior to installing the inner piece, I will also put bedding compound all the way around the edges here, and of course on the flange of the inner piece. Well, there it is. The last hawspipe on the boat has now been rebedded and resealed correctly. It only took a decade and a half for me to get around to it. You know, there's something on Starwhite that has always bothered me, and somehow over the past 15 plus years of ownership I have done nothing about it. But today I am going to look into it, and that is this shore power plug. It works fine, everything is good, but I don't like this teak trim plate behind it. It's difficult to get at, to sand and finish and clean, and it just seems unnecessary. So I'm going to take a look and see whether or not it is necessary. I think I see maybe why it was done this way. As I said, I've looked at this for what, approaching 2 decades now, and thought about doing something and haven't, but I can see now that it was probably put on this block to allow this to be flipped all the way up, although we leave it most of the time sitting part way down. Yes, now that I see this, because I rewired all of the shore power on the boat. Originally everything was done with old extension cords. I do remember this now. Well, I'm going to take it the rest of the way apart, and I'm going to see what I can do here. Well, boy, that gasket has bonded quite securely. Now, fortunately, I've got some material here so that I can make a new backing gasket for that. It looks like I'll need to disconnect all the wires first. And I can take this off. I'll do a dry fit to see if I'm happy with the way it fits. And we'll go on from there. Well, I'll mark the terminals, even though they are somewhat coated in that silver is always white. But we'll go ahead and mark them anyway. And the black one, or bronze one, is black. And the green one, well, the green one is silver. So I guess it would be possible to confuse the green and the white. But just to be safe, we'll go ahead and mark them all. As I recall, these are just a compression style fitting. So it should be fairly straightforward to pull this apart. There we go. Yes, I do remember this now that I look at it. Boy, that was a long time ago when I had this all apart. This was one of the very first things I had to work on Starwhite, because I needed the electrical system working, the AC side that is, so that I could do the refit on the interior. Now, I'm going to have to tape these up because I don't want them disappearing down into the bulwark while I'm fiddling here. That should do for now. Now, I'm going to get some of this old bedding cleaned off. I'm hoping it comes off relatively easily. A little acetone and some plastic scrapers here. Yeah, it looks like that's going to come off reasonably easily. There's a kingfisher who is not happy. I don't know if you can pick that up on the microphone or not, but he is buzzing around here having quite a bit to say. Okay, well, I can see now why this block was put here, but I've also figured out a way where I don't need this block. The reason he put the block there, he meaning the original person who finished this boat, was because when you try to lift this up, it hits. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to install it on its side like this. And that way, everything flips back completely out of the way. And if I decide that that is something I don't like, I'll take this block home and sand it, get it all cleaned up, and I can always reinstall it. That's the plan. Well, this is the old gasket that is pretty, technically it's still got a little stretch, but it's pretty well gone. So I've made myself a new one out of some material I had. Looks like it'll do the job just fine. All right, well, I guess it's time to hook the wires back up and reinstall this thing. And I'm not going to put any bedding compound on here. I'm going to rely on this gasket for sealing for right now. I may change my mind on that eventually. Okay, there we go. Reinstalled without that big thick base plate. And we have the finished product. We'll see how it works out. Well, here is the teak backing plate that I removed from under that shore power plug. I've given it a good sanding, and actually I put it on the belt sander and actually even thinned it down maybe a little bit. I don't know that I'm going to reinstall it. Don't know that I need it. I think the new arrangement where I've turned the plug on its side is going to work out just fine. But I've got this all cleaned up. I will take it back down to the boat and keep it on board just in case I do change my mind. Well, now that I'm now that I'm back down here on the boat, that is, I've brought this trim piece with me, and I cleaned it all up in the shop, of course. But you know, this just looks so much cleaner without it that, as I said before, I don't think I'm going to put this back on unless I discover there's some good reason why it should be there. So, pretty well addressed the issues back here on the starboard aft quarter. We've rebedded the chain pipe and fixed up the electrical connection. The next thing to take a look at is going to be here on the engine control panel. The stop switch has decided it no longer wants to stop. It's not the end of the world. I can just go down below, open things up, and short across. It's just a simple on-off momentary switch. But I've gone ahead and ordered a new one at somewhat great expense from Beta. So I'm going to put that in today and replace this old one. So accessing this switch is done from down below, coming in on the back side of the panel. Simple lock nut on the back. We'll climb down there and wade into this. All right, there's the back side of the panel, and our little shut-off switch is right down here. So I keep calling it a switch, I guess it's a button technically. It's got a little lock nut on the back and a couple of little connectors. All I do when it quit working was I just take a piece of wire and short these two out, but it's much more convenient having the button up there. So we're going to replace that. So there's just a little locking nut that threads onto the back of the new switch. Hopefully the existing one will come off easily. All right, well, really not much to say there. There's the new switch threaded into place. We'll pop the wires back on. All right, wires are on. We should be good to go. Well, I decided what the heck, I'll, now that I've already changed the switch, I'm going to just test this old one. And, of course, now that I've got it out and I've changed it, well, it's working sporadically. So, if I get it in just the right spot, it actually seems to want to work. But they've got this waterproof cover on them, and I think between the sporadic nature of it, no, it's working with the cover too. Well, not actually. Sometimes it's working. So my only guess is that there's some sort of corrosion has taken place inside this little push button switch, which is, probably something cheap out of China, I would guess. Anyway, the new one is installed, life is good again, and we can stop the engine whenever we want. Now, this is one of the nuisances we have to deal with on Puget Sound. Instead of going behind me, he chose to go all the way around in front of me.